We're going to learn how to make a basic web form today, and what I mean by a web form is this kind of page where you have a user fill out blocks on a page, components, and then they submit it to you. So we're going to make a very simple one. We're going to make an alumni one. We're going to do it over on the LLC page here. So the first thing we want to do is go down into our yellow content box and choose web form as the content type that we're going to create. And the title of our web form, I'm going to call it alumni. And then the body is just what is the message that's at the top of the form, and you don't necessarily have to have anything, but in this case I'm going to put we would love to hear what you are doing. Please fill out the form below. And we scroll down, and that's all we have to do here. Now eventually I will actually want to provide a menu link for this so that it can sit over here in this menu, but I'm not going to do it now because this is just a test page and I don't want anyone finding it right at the moment. So I'm just going to save. So it's created the page, but now I have to add each of the individual components that I want people to fill out. I have to add those to the page. So this is where we start doing it. So the label for this new component is going to be first name. And there are all kinds of component types here. You can have an email type or all these different types, text area, text field. Let me just point out what some of them are. So this is a text, this is a basic text field. It's one line, and you can specify how long, how long you want it to be, the width of it. And you can also specify how many characters you want to allow people to put in there. This bigger block here is a text area, and you can make it bigger or smaller here. Phone numbers, this is a field set, and this is a collapsible field set. When you click on it, it opens up the phone numbers here. Now, this usually is open by default, but I had just been here looking at it, so it wasn't. But it just allows you to get things out of the way easier if you want. And for this, I don't know whether people really want to put down their phone numbers. So I think that's why we made it a field set. So people could just say no. I'm going to collapse that. This is an example of selection options, checkboxes. And this is another type of selection option, radio buttons. And another type of component here is an upload of a photo, and then the submit button. So those are all different types. So this one is just going to be a single line text field. And I do want to require that people fill this out. So I'm going to check that off. So if they fill out the form and try to submit it, they're going to get an error message saying, nope, you didn't fill out your first name. And now I'm going to add this component. And when I do, it opens up some more options for me for this component. It says, do you want a default value? No. Do you want a description? So something like, please fill out your first name or something. But I'm not going to, because I think it's pretty obvious to people how to fill these things out now. Required, this is what I already checked off, so it's required that they do it. Max length, this is if I want to say, yeah, you can only put 25 characters in there. And this is how wide you want the box to display. So I'm going to say 50 characters display width. And there's nothing else really I have to do here, so I just save the component. The next component is last name. And that's again going to be a text field. Again, I'm going to require it. I'm going to add this. Gives me more options. The only thing I'm going to add in is the width of the box, 50 pixels, and save. Now I'm going to add name you graduated under, if different. And that is going to be a text field. I'm not going to require that because they may not have a different name, have had a different name. So I'm just going to add that. Again, I'm just going to put in 50 pixels as the width. Next component is their email address that I would like. And this is going to be a different component type. It's email, so the system will check to make sure it's got the little @ sign and make sure it looks like an email, and I am going to require that. going to add that. Nothing here. Again, width. The next one, I am going to ask your major. This is in the Department of Languages, Literatures, and Cultures, and they have many different majors, different languages, so we would want to know what their major was. I'm going to make that required, and 50 pixels wide. And then I'm going to ask them what year they graduated. Text field. I don't know if I should require this or not, mostly because I'm afraid that they may not remember it. So I'm not going to require that because I don't want to frustrate them. They're like, oh, I don't know, leave me alone, you know. So, okay, so going back down, 50. And now I'm just going to ask them what their news is. And this I'm going to make a text area because I want them to have a large box that they can make bigger or smaller. And I'm not going to require this either. I mean, presumably that's why they're filling it out, but again, I don't want to frustrate them if they decide they don't want to write something. And I'm going to make this box a little bigger. I'm going to make it 100 pixels wide and save that. And now I'm going to do sort of a different thing. I'm going to do a field set, and this, you set this up a little bit differently. So again, that's this, and this is actually the one I'm going to make. And this is about sharing their information, and you know, we might want to share any good things that they say about the major or the department or the university. So we want to make sure that we have permission to do that, especially if they share a photo or something. So the field set, we're going to title it, is it okay for us to share information, share your information? Doink, doink, doink. Okay, and then the component type is field set. That's just going to make the box around our choices. And we add that. And this is where you could choose if you want it collapsible or not collapsible. I'm not going to make it collapsible. And now we're going to add one of the first components that's in that field set, and that is with other offices at UNH. So is it okay for us to share information with other offices at UNH? And this is going to be a select options thing. So we want little radio buttons, and this is going to be required because we need to know whether it's okay or not. And so now there's a pre-built option list here that has got, you know, days of the week, countries, U.S. states, 1 in 100. There really should be a yes/no one here too, but there isn't because yes/no is what I want, but there isn't. So what we have to do is code the options. So I'm going to copy this field key. I'm going to paste it here, and then I'm going to put yes. I'm going to put a pipe, and then yes. So this yes is what users will see. This will be their option, and this is the code connected to it that tells the system what the person has actually selected. So again, I'm going to copy that key, and I'm going to say no, pipe, add a pipe in, and then no. And then validation yes, and then this is where, is it a list box or randomize the options? And you check the list box if you don't want to show radio buttons, but I think I do want to show radio buttons. It's pretty common. And then save component. Now this is supposed to sort of be under this field set, so I'm going to pull it in, and that tells the system that it's underneath this field set. Okay, and the second one here that I'm going to put in this field set is it okay for us to share information on UNH websites or in UNH print materials? And that's a select options again. It's required again. I'm going to add it. And I'm copying the field key and pasting it into the options with a yes and a pipe and a yes and a no and a pipe and a no. And I want that to all remain the same, so I save that. And oh, this actually went away. So see how I had indented it and it didn't stay because I didn't save it down here. So anything you do, you have to save. So I'm just going to save that. There's one other thing. Back here, there was this message: we do not share information with organizations or businesses outside UNH. So I'd like to find a place to put that. So I'm just going to copy that. And I think, let's see if this is where it goes. So I think I'll put the description, I'll put it in the description box under that second item. And label display, above, huh? Well, that's not really what it is. So I don't know. We'll see. I think the description's automatically going to show up below. And at any time, we can view our progress here. So I'm going to go over to the View tab. And so far it's looking pretty good. And yes, it put that in, it put it right where I wanted it at the bottom. So now we go back to Webform to continue building. And so I want to allow people to upload a photo of themselves or some other file, whatever it might be. And that is going to be date, email, field set, file. That's file. Excuse me. And I'm not going to require that. I'm just going to add. And it says max upload size 2 megabytes. That seems good. And here you can choose what types of files you want to allow them to upload. So it's got GIF, JPEG, PNG already selected, but I think I want to do TIFF to another type of image. And then I want them to be able to maybe do a PDF, a docx. I mean, I have no idea what they might want to upload, but I want to give them a lot of options, even an MP3 here, or a movie, or an OGG, or WAV. So I'm going to say all those are okay, or zip. And I'm going to save that. And that should do it. So I'm just going to go look at that again quickly. Yep, and the submit button is automatically there. Back to the web form. Now, let's look and see what's under this next tab here. There are no conditionals. So that, I think that is like if if someone says yes to a certain item and you want that to then open up another set of options, that's what a conditional is. So we don't need that. Emails. Now this is where you tell the system who you want these web forms to be emailed to. So I'm going to have this emailed to Avery Thorne. And then once I add that, it asks me some things about how I want that email to look. So the email form submission from alumni, I'm going to change that. That was the default. I'm going to change it to form submission from LLC alumni because otherwise, in the background in the system, any department, you would be able to distinguish one department from another. So that's the subject. The email from address is, I want it actually to be from the person's email who is submitting it. Email from name, I want it to be from the component, their last name. And that's it. So we'll save. And then I could add another email here. So I think I'm going to send it to myself as well. Why not? In case something interesting comes up and I think I want to follow up on it for the college letter or something. So I'm adding my name, and then it asks me the same things. Email from address, email from component, last name, and then save. And then form settings. Let's see what's here. So this is where you put in the confirmation message. So what it says when somebody actually fills it out. So we've received your information. Thank you. And then redirection location. So this, we want them to go to a confirmation page that says this, but we could have them go to a custom URL or nothing. We could have them go nowhere. Total submissions limit. Per user submission limit. Status of this form. So all these we can just leave as they are. And submission access. Who do we want to be able to get to this? Role that can submit this web form. So we can just leave those also as well, you know what? I'm actually going to say site administrator and site editor too, so that we don't think there's something wrong if one of us just tries to fill it out. So I'm going to save that configuration, and that is pretty much it. So I go back to the view and see it's different email, your major, you're graduated, your news, other offices. I'm just making sure it looks good, and it looks good. So now if I want to make that show up in the navigation over on the left, I go back to the Edit tab, and I go down to the bottom and say Provide a menu link, and the parent item is LLC, and I say Save, and it's added it to the bottom. I don't think I really want that there, so I'm going to go to LLC homepage and go to the Group tab and go to the Menus tab so that I can move the position of that. I list links, and then I'm going to move alumni up in front of Contact Us, just above Contact Us. And I'm going to save the configuration, and it's moved it there, and I click it, and it looks good.